Hello everyone, welcome to TV Talks, the show where we take a look about the good and the bad of what television has to offer. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Yep, probably 4Kids TV's most famous original creation is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2000s edition. Now let's get this out of the way. I did not grow up with this show despite adoring 4Kids or at the time Foxbox TV. And I have not seen the originals up until preparation for this, and I have not seen the Nickelodeon show at all. Nor have I read the comics. But this came about when 4Kids TV was expanding into their whole, hey, let's make some original things phase, also known as the Foxbox. And then they decided to make another one of these. Now, they don't own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's pretty obvious, but they did get permission to make it. And so, this was born, and it was a huge hit up until it ended, and then when it ended, it just kind of faded away on their network. Even though the reruns were still doing very well, they just decided to boot it off. There are rumors saying that they lost the rights to it, but none of these have any real sound evidence, and nobody I talked to could clarify or deny these. But that's not important right now. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we all know what it's about. 4 turtles that I just learned the names of, Donatello, Raphael, Leonardo, and Michelangelo, live in the sewers of a city somewhere, and are trained by a rat kung fu master, I guess, named Master Splinter, and they fight off an evil criminal known as the Shredder. And they have this friendship with the local news anchor, April O'Neil, and it's all sort of that kind of stuff. Now, the original 80s version, like I said, I had never seen it, and now I have. And it's a show. It's definitely corny. It's definitely an 80s cartoon with the whole cowabunga dude and all that stuff. I know that's just kind of the Turtles thing, but it's cheesy, but it's fun cheesy. This decided to stick more to the comics, which I have not read, but thanks to Rowdy C from TV Trash's videos, going into extensive detail, and also just general looking up in context, I have found out all the parallels that this made. And so it's not a reboot of the original show, which a lot of people were confused by. It's actually an adaptation of the comics, for the most part. And for those who haven't seen it, there will be some spoilers. So, the last little bit had some story arcs going on here and there, and so does this one. And let's just start off right out the bat, the characters. I like these guys. I like them a lot more than the original ones, actually. They're a bit more developed. Donatello's machine thing kind of makes him more of an oddball. Michelangelo's a bit goofier and funnier. Raph is, I guess, now a lot more extreme and angry instead of a Michelangelo clone. And then Leonardo's whole leader thing is taken into new angles. They get a lot of development over the course of the series and also get a lot of equal screen time. So it's not like other shows where, oh, the goofball character, he's always in the forefront. It's not one of those shows, so Mikey doesn't eat up everything, although he was there for quite a bit of the promotional materials, I'll tell you that. The animation. Wow, this is really, really good. For those who say that 4Kids is cheap, take a look at this. They paid for this, and they quality checked all of it. They very clearly had some really good stuff in mind for this, and they didn't disappoint. All the action is very well done. The animation is fluent. The colors are very vibrant, but when they need to get all dark and gritty, they get dark and gritty. But they know when to use it. It's not one of those ultra serious, ultra dark ones like some of the commercials would have you believe. They take time to have funny moments, and they take time to goof off. And there's certain episodes that are a lot goofier than others. But it really knows how to balance the tone in the animation and in the writing. The writing is well done. Like I said, the characters are very, very well fleshed out here. And the jokes, for the most part, are funny. There are bombs here and there, and that's expected, but for the most part, they land. I gotta say, though, my favorite one is Raph. I don't know what it is. I just kind of like him the most. Kind of reminds me of Knuckles for some reason. And the stories and twists and turns, oh, there's too many to name here, but they're really good. Specifically one with the Shredder, which I heard that was a little controversial at the time, but I thought was actually really well done, and I'm pretty sure this came from one of the comics, too. So they're fighting Shredder off of this one planet, which is basically the Krang planet, and Krang, from what I can guess, is like some sort of brain creature that wants a body. And so, it turns out the Shredder that they've been fighting was one of the Krang monsters, like piloting some sort of robot machine thing. It was kind of foreshadowed, at least in that arc, and I thought it was really well done. So yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did a really good job. It had a lot of stuff going for it. But wait, hang on a moment. Why is this review so short? Did you run out of things to say already? Well, no. Although I did say that everything is well done and basically everything works about it, something happened. Something not so good happened. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fast forward. Everyone knows about this and everyone hates it. So 4Kids was getting a little panicky that it wasn't hip or cool enough, so they decided to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles be placed in the future, which sounds okay, but the thing is it takes place within the continuity of the original show. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fast Forward is actually a part of the show. It is just another season, but it was treated like a spin-off at the time, although that is not the case officially, and it is not the case now. This season was in some ways a downgrade. The animation and action were still really well done. The characterization and storylines, however, kind of took a bit of a dip. The characters started to get a little flanderized, and the story arc just seemed really, really stupid. And yeah, they really tried to push the whole, dude, and we're hip kind of thing. Now, the Turtles were always kind of surfer dudes at heart. That was kind of their shtick. But it was charming, and it was kind of ironic. They never really tried to do the whole Poochie thing where it's like, yeah, we're cool, we can be relatable, yo, kids, always recycle, to the extreme, busted! They never really did that. They started doing it here quite a bit. Now I as a not really Turtles fan, don't really get that angry with this. And especially, it's not as bad because the final season did make up for it. But, yeah, it's just, still not very good. But yeah, the series concluded very well, the story arcs all made sense, and it all worked out very well. So the show itself was very good. But, how was the 4Kids treatment? But before I answer, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, 4Kids made this, how could there be 4Kids treatment? The comics. There's always the comics, there's always the source material that they're gonna have to censor. But, I don't know, looking at what I've seen from the original show and this one, it seems like this one might have gotten away with a bit more. Now, I know, it was the 80s back then, and there was a lot of restrictions on TV, but I don't know, this one actually had a black Baxter Stockman. This one actually had a lot more violence and even in some parts gore. I mean, not extreme stuff, but it was still there. I mean, we got to see Shredder's robotic body dismembered several bits. And also just the things that the Turtles can say. Now, they never drop any swears, but, just some of the things that they were able to say more. And they're able to stand out more. And April O'Neil's actually able to do things now. And she's not just, from what I can tell, a sex symbol. Yeah, I'm not going to that corner of the web. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time was considered Foxbox's runner-up Golden Boy. Because Kirby was doing really well, and that was kind of the vice Sonic X at the time. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started to overshadow Kirby quite a bit. Because Kirby, like I said, it was second place next to Sonic X. Every time. Until now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came in, and right away it was an enormous hit. They were both allowed to be in Fight for the Fox Box, although the Turtles got way more screen time than either Kirby or Sonic combined. To the point where I can almost say it's Fight for the TMNT Box featuring the other Fox Box cast. That's almost what it is, although I still love it, but that's a topic for another day that I've already covered. So, 4Kids realized that it was doing really well, so when it was 4Kids TV's turn to kick Foxbox to the curb and then take over, Sonic X and TMNT were all they promoted, and with a little bit of Winx Club here and there. No matter what show you were watching, whether it's a new episode of Sonic X or a rerun of anything else, I can guarantee that you will see at least one commercial for TMNT within this show. And yeah, that's reasonable. You want to promote your show, but it was excessive. That's just a guarantee there. I remember there was one time when we were watching an awful, by the way, season 3 episode of Sonic X, and we saw 3 TMNT commercials in one show. 2 of them were the same commercial played back to back, which I thought was kind of excessive because, we didn't watch the show, so it didn't really affect us all that much. But it was kind of crazy. This was starting to become almost as big as Sonic X, especially because Sonic X started to dip a lot, as I've mentioned before, because season 3 was just awful, and the ratings showed it, to the point where sometimes TMNT would almost beat out Sonic X, and I think 1 or 2 times maybe even had. And you can't make Sonic X last forever, so when Sonic X ended, reruns were gone. So then this was the big one to beat. This wasn't the monster that Sonic X was and would become, because, they had 2, maybe 3 time slots. This one just got 1, maybe 2. Sometimes they would have the occasional marathon, which was accepted, but, it wasn't the monster. Because Sonic X came back a couple months later and then just ate up all of its time slots. sooner or later, all of the TMNT stuff was kind of getting pushed to the wayside. The toy sales were dwindling. The viewership was dwindling because Sonic X was just eating up everything. So when this show's course was over, it got kicked to the curb and was rarely ever seen again. Toonzai, I don't think ever aired it, and Vortex, no way. Sad end for a really good show. Now, I'm still not a Turtles fan after this, but I do like this show, and you know what? Maybe I'll watch it again here and there. It was nice watching throughout the whole thing, which is another reason why this one took so long to come out, is because I had to watch the entire series. Do you know how hard that is? But I thoroughly enjoyed it. As a non-Turtles fan, it gave me just enough information to come in blind-ish, thanks to TV Trash's extensive reviews. But essentially, I kind of went in blind, although I did know what would happen. But it gave me all the information I needed. It didn't make it so that I needed to watch the old one or needed to watch the comics. It just gave me everything I needed, which is very good and very deserving of the Archibald seal of approval. Well, it's time for the wrap-up. Join me next time where I conclude 4Kids TV and Foxbox. See you next time.
Good night, everybody. Mwah.